Welcome to Football with Cheese. Happy Sunday, everyone. So I'm recording this while watching Falcons-Colts. Falcons actually have the lead right now. They're playing Germany, maybe? Somewhere in Europe. International games are so stupid. They need to get rid of them. But anyway, in this video, I'm going to preview the Eagles-Packers Monday Night Football game because it is a big one. But first, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss one of my videos. Like I said, this is a big one. Both teams don't have the easiest schedules. I really believe the loser of this game is going to have a really tough time being the number one seed in the NFC, which is obviously the goal. And last year, these two teams met twice. Eagles won both games. The first time was week 1. It was a fairly close game. Eagles, I think, won by 5 or 6, something like that. Second game was in the playoffs in Philly, and the score was 22-10, but Eagles pretty much dominated the game. Jordan Love was not healthy. He had hurt his elbow the week before, and he basically couldn't throw the ball, so he ended up throwing 3 interceptions, and Eagles went on to win the Super Bowl. If you did not know, of course you know. If you're watching this, I hope you know. So they are the defending champs. Now this is in Green Bay on Monday night. Packers typically play better in primetime, especially Jordan Love. I don't know why. The Packers are so different this season. Last year, the Packers basically lost to the 3 best teams in the NFC. Twice. Vikings twice, Lions twice, Eagles twice. The teams with 14 or more wins. I guess they did lose another game when they rested Jordan Love, rested some players because the game didn't matter. When I'll talk about that. Basically, where they tried to win, they lost to all the good teams and beat all the bad teams. This year, they have basically 3 losses, 2 losses and a tie, to the Browns, Panthers, and Cowboys. None of whom are going to make the playoffs. I guess the Panthers technically have a winning record, but come on. So this year, they just have not showed up in games. Let's go ahead and talk about the Packers first. I will link the video at the end in one of these boxes. Matt LaFleur has been horrible this year as a head coach. Absolutely horrible. It seems like he gets worse every year. He doesn't learn from his mistakes. If you look at 4 games in particular, Steelers, Panthers, Browns, and Cardinals, they came out so flat. Offense very vanilla. Real easy dump-offs for Jordan Love. When they did try some 10 to 15-yard passes, it really worked. But for some reason, Matt LaFleur just refuses to keep going there, especially last week against Carolina. Their defense was, we're taking away the deep ball, and we're going to press man you at the line and stop these dink and dunkets to the wide receivers, to Tucker Kraft, the wide receiver screens. We're going to take that away. We're going to give you that 10 to 15-yard pass. And it was working with Romeo Doubs, and then Matt LaFleur decided we're not going to throw there anymore because he's a terrible coach and got out-coached by the Panthers. But in those 4 games that I mentioned, they came out very flat, play calling, very easy to predict. Let's just not make a mistake, and we'll probably win because we're more talented. They did have an amazing second half against the Steelers. Micah Parsons basically won them the game against the Cardinals in the second half. They probably should have lost that game. And obviously disasters against the Panthers and Browns. So Matt LaFleur has been horrible this year. The game plans have been horrible. The play calling has been worse. And also the special teams has been horrific. The only team worse is probably the Raiders, who just fired their special teams coach. But that's the reason Green Bay is 5-2-1 and not 8-0 like they should be, is Matt LaFleur and the special teams. Now let's talk about the Eagles. For the most part, they've been pretty good. They had a miracle win against the Rams where they were way down. It was like 26-7 in the third quarter. Probably shouldn't have won that game. But also, they gave the Broncos a game where they led 20-3 late. We'll call that a push. And they played terrible in New York against the Giants. But since then, they've looked much better, especially offensively. The offense has been inconsistent. There's no doubt about it. But the Eagles, the last 3 seasons, they always go through a stretch, it seems, where the offense just disappears for a while. Unfortunately, in the 2023 season, it happened in the playoffs, like right at the end of the year, so they were one and done. But the last 2 weeks, they have scored 28 points against the Vikings and 38 against the Giants the second time they played them. So it's looking up. A.J. Brown was hurt, but looks like he's back. The key injury, I think, for the Eagles is Cam Jurgens is out. And you do not want to have interior offensive linemen out versus Green Bay. That's where they've gotten a lot of their pressure. If you look at the Lions game week 1, they line Micah Parsons up against the guards and centers because that's the weakness of the Lions offense. So you have Cam Jurgens out. It's going to be Brett Toth at center and then Tyler Steen at right guard. Probably the weakest starting position on their offensive line. Look for Parsons to line up against those guys. Maybe not so much against the tackles, Mailata and Johnson, because those were two really good tackles. Might be the best tandem in the NFL. Probably is. So the key for the Eagles, you have to double Micah Parsons every play. Carolina did it last week, and it worked. And Parsons has been dealing with like a pec issue, and he may have been sick. He's got an illness. Probably had his worst game of the year against the Panthers. Still had some really good run stops. Didn't get as much pressure as he usually does. One of the reasons the Cardinals lost to the Packers was on 8 plays they did not double him, and he had 6 pressures and 3 sacks on those 8 plays. And Carolina doubled him on every play. You have to do that, Eagles. You have to know where he is. That is the key for the Eagles, and they should be fine. If I was the Eagles, I would focus on running the ball with Saquon Barkley and feeding Dallas Goedert. Green Bay's defense had been so good against the run this year, but it looked vulnerable last week. Rico Dowdle had a really good game. They missed a lot of tackles. So I would run the ball with Saquon Barkley. And Green Bay has been pretty tough on wide receivers. Their cover 3 scheme takes away the ball down the field to wide receivers, which the Eagles like to do with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. But they've been vulnerable against the tight end, especially in the seam. So I would feature Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert if I'm the Eagles. As far as the Packers go, Jordan Love is the best quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion, when he has a clean pocket. Okay? When he has a clean pocket. His quarterback rating is number 1 in the NFL when he's not pressured, and he's 36 out of 39 that qualify when he is pressured in quarterback rating. Yeah. One of the reasons is he's not coached up. When he gets pressured, a lot of times he just chucks it deep, and it hurt them last week when he should be focusing on the intermediate routes. For some reason, Matt LaFleur just wants you to chuck it deep or dink and dunk it. And Carolina was giving you that 10 to 15-yard play across the middle to Romeo Doubs. They were giving you the middle of the field. And Matt LaFleur is so dumb, he wouldn't take advantage of it. Green Bay needs to do more of that. They need to throw the 7 to 15-yard routes, the crossing routes, the dig routes. They need to focus on those. And last year they did. That's what's the strangest thing. They didn't have a lot of screens, dink and dunk it last year. I don't know why LaFleur has become so conservative with his play calling. They ran a lot of dig routes. And when they drafted Matthew Golden, who they're not using, their first-round pick, he was so good at dig routes. He was so good across the middle. So it made sense why they drafted him. They're going to use him. And they have it. As far as injuries go, Tucker Kraft is out for the year. Devastating. Going to make it much easier to scheme them. Luke Musgrave is talented. He's athletic. He's got speed, but he is terrible after the catch. And Tucker Kraft is the best tight end in the NFL as far as yards after catch goes. Probably the best tight end in the NFL anyway. He's that good. So devastating injury. And Green Bay's offensive line's been a problem this year. They have not run blocked at all. They didn't block anybody last week against a bad front for the Panthers. That's the key. Eagles, get pressure. Do not let Jordan Love just sit in the pocket. And they'll probably stop the run because the offensive line hasn't blocked anything. Josh Jacobs has been terrific this year, but the stats don't back it up because he's getting hit behind the line on almost all his runs. But looking at the injury report, Packers have 3 receivers that are questionable. Jaden Reed's already out. Tucker Kraft is out. This could be a tough game for Green Bay, especially if Matthew Golden and Dontavian Wicks don't play. For some reason, Vegas thinks the Packers are going to bounce back. I'm not so sure. Like I said, it's a huge game. Eagles have the Lions next week and then at Dallas. I know Dallas isn't a very good team, but still, it's on the road division game. It's a big game for the Eagles. So I'm going to take the Eagles to win and cover the 2.5. Win by 4 to 6 points, something like that. They have a better coach for sure, and Nick Sirianni, much better than Matt LaFleur. And I just think the Eagles are a little bit better right now. So, in the comments below, let me know. What's your prediction? Do you think the Eagles win? What do you think about the spread? Packers by 2.5? Let me know in the comments. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do so. Hit the bell for notification. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. Really helps out the channel. Comments help. Subscribes, likes, all that really help the algorithm. And I've been growing really fast the last couple weeks. I really appreciate everyone. Please share this with anyone who loves football. I cover all 32 teams. I talk about the Eagles a lot because they're very good. And I'm going to link my Howie Roseman video on how he's the best general manager in the NFL. So make sure you check that out. And obviously the other one I'll link about how bad Matt LaFleur is as a head coach. And I will see you in the next video.